three-way call, but sometimes it's that first piece where getting to the three-way call and getting to that point. And there's so many amazing experts in this group that I'm really excited to learn from. And then I definitely want to see your questions in the chat, or unmute yourself of something that you have gotten that you just didn't know how to respond to, whether it was a question or a comment or something on the phone or something in person. How do you turn something around and turn it into a prospecting situation? And I mean, we've all been stumped before, but I feel like there's some pretty awesome experts on the line where we all have an idea of how we can help you find out what to say in those situations if there's something that keeps coming up. I know for me in the beginning, it was the I need to talk to my husband comment. Then I would just like freeze up and I'd be like, okay, because I was single and like I didn't have to consult anyone for my finances. I didn't know it. I was just like, okay, like it. And so I remember having lots of conversations of people who were in relationships and what they like, how that worked for them, and things that I could say to expedite that order. Because what would happen was then they would consult with their husband, and you wouldn't really hear from them, and then now you're going around and around and around, and then you're not getting to the final result. So that came up for me a ton in the very, very beginning. So if anybody has anything that for them is coming up that they have questions on, throw in the comments. There's Michael.
Hello. Hey, there's some people I talked to today.
Awesome crew. So did anybody have anything that they wanted to start off with, or we can just kind of get started with some of the most common ones, but I would prefer to gear it to what you guys would be looking for specifically on, like, somebody says this and then what do I say?
Hey, Amanda, I think that you should just continue on that role. Like you were saying, I have to consult with my husband. So how did you answer that? What did you say?
Okay, so that kind of would go differently. I would not be afraid to ask the household financial questions, like, oh, okay, do you usually consult with him on things that are relating to your health? And then sometimes they would say no. And then it's like, oh, okay, great. Well, this is really just food. So if you don't go to the grocery store with your husband, you're probably going to be fine. Or sometimes I would respectfully say, I totally understand. Like, depending on how I felt like that person was. If I felt like they were super set on the whole husband thing, then I would just go with that. And I would say, great. If you think you're going to have a chance to talk with him today, maybe we can talk again tonight. And I would set a time in a very short time frame. So then I would pre-book that, know that I'm going to honor the fact that you have had a chance to talk to your husband. But then what I started doing was sometimes there would be an objection in that conversation, and I didn't set myself up to answer that. So then I started saying, oh my gosh, if your husband has any questions, please let me know, because sometimes they like guy talk, and I can get my friend Michael on the line and he can answer all of his questions and make sure he feels super confident and that you are super supportive. We're not just some people that are going to sell you the box and then leave you high and dry. And that seems to work pretty good. Because the husbands typically don't want to talk on the phone, and they're a little bit more likely to give the A-OK if they know that it will avoid a conversation. So I figured out that was my massive trifecta of things to say to appease the husband question.
A lot of times, and sometimes
Michael's answer is much more direct. What do you say?
Ask me the question.
Like, oh, I have to consult with my husband, and then
I says, oh, is he in charge of your health or your finances? I joke around a little bit, but one of the things, I'm a little cheeky sometimes.
Super cheeky. You're like, is your husband responsible for your health? And then they'd be like, no. And he's like, oh, good.
So, because some people have the desire to do more. One of the things too, I find with that scenario is that we always have to realize that the spouse is going to protect the other spouse if they don't know what it is. So sometimes you have that objection to where people will say, oh, like the husband or the wife will say, oh, I don't know about that, and they really get in there because they just don't want someone to go in there and get taken advantage of, or different things like that.
Yeah.
And making sure. So by pulling in the spouse into the conversation is always the best. And me being a guy doing networking and doing this business, I always make sure, I can't wait. I always say, I can't wait to meet your husband on the phone or in person. We should all go for coffee. Because if we're working together a lot, we want to make sure that everybody's feeling good about this situation and where we're at with it. So it's kind of interesting how it works, but that's part of it. And, we're all working together to help each other grow with this. So, and if you don't know something, you just say, I don't know. If you don't know what the answer is to something, I don't know. But I can get you that answer. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but I've got someone like Mike Dallaire made $1 million business by saying, I don't know. I got a friend that can answer that though. I'll get him on the line with us. And Woody, we met today on the phone with Nicole. It was great to meet you today. And and that's the thing. I was answering some questions that Woody had that maybe Nicole's brand new at and getting going on. She might know most of the answers, but it's just coming from a different voice. A lot of times it just makes a big difference on how it's perceived. So we might know everything about what the question is and how it is, but it doesn't always come out that way. And when someone else edifies what you're edifies, we got a little guy running around, edifies what you're talking about, it just makes that much more of a difference. So don't be afraid to say, I don't know, I can get a friend on the line that can help out with that or stuff like that.
Yeah,
so.
I love that so much. And I think too, keeping in mind that a lot of people, and myself included, like I might not be on a budget per se, but I still go through the store flipping over price tags to see if I see the value in something. And so I definitely think that it's important to keep that in mind when you're initially having a conversation. People want to know right off the go, is there enough value for me to spend my money on this, for me to further this conversation? And so just like when we go to the store and we flip over price tags, we're just looking for value. And so it's the same scenario. So keeping that in mind, I've learned that the price objection used to freak me out because I didn't have any money. So I didn't want anyone to ask me how much it costed because then I had a hang up about it personally. But now I like to at least address it at the very beginning when I'm prospecting somebody and let them know, like, oh my goodness, you're going to love this so much. And it is so affordable. It's like less than $3 a meal. I mean, I save money all the time, especially when we travel. And I just let them know right out the gate. Or I'll say something like, you won't even believe it. The entire starting system starts at $10 a day and then works up from there depending on what your goals are. And then people feel so at ease to continue the conversation. They know they're not going to get slapped with like this really big total at the end of it. And they know that they're just replacing meals. And we've kind of had that in the beginning. So I find that if you set yourself up right at the beginning, it's going to help so much as the conversation goes further. But also, if you are doing a three-way call or you're on a three-way call for somebody, don't get off of the phone. Like, so typically I'll do the three-way call for somebody and then I'll pass it back to them and I'll say, all right, Trisha's going to take down your information. I don't do that unless I've had the cost conversation. So if you're directing a three-way call and you are passing it off, they might not ask you about the cost. I personally bring it up because what I've found is then I'll get off the line and then the question will come up. And so I just like to address that right off the gate and just be super transparent about the cost because I see so much value in what we have to offer that I think it is an absolute incredible deal. And I'm proud of that. And so I think that when you're having a conversation and you are proud of the price of our products and the price of our packs and what we can provide and the value that has, it helps so much. And you'll notice that your conversations will go in a different way. Mine used to end at the cost question. Well, they ended at a lot of questions, but when I finally would get there. And so it's a total personal development, personal growth situation. But so that's one that people get commonly right off the gate. Well, okay, how much is it? Automatically going into their money story and assuming that they can't afford it. That's really, really common, especially because I deal with a lot of stay-at-home moms who aren't bringing the income into the household. So that's right off the go. Mm-hmm. What are the common questions you get?
What's in it?
Oh, I like this one. I feel like we used to talk about this one a lot and then we stopped talking about it as much and then now it's coming up more. When somebody asks what's in it,
I say, what are you looking to stay away from? And they say, gluten. No, we don't have it.
They can literally
soy.
Usually ramble off exactly what they're looking to stay away from. And it takes the conversation down like so short. And rather than like going and looking for the ingredients and finding them and emailing them, you can just literally handle it right then and there.
Yeah. Sometimes I say, well, have you been to, I says, what are you looking to stay away from? And then they'll ask me and say something, and whatever it might be, gluten or soy or whatever it might be, or lactose, whatever it might be. And then I just turn around and I say simply, when's the last time you had a fast food, drive-through meal? And they say, last week. And I go, oh, I guess the conversation's over about what's in it because this is really good for you. And it's higher than organic standard. So we're good to go. And they say, okay. So,
Michael, what do you think about saying, instead of what are you looking to stay away from, what do you think about saying, what are you looking for?
That can be done that way too, but most people, when they do ask that question, there's something they're looking to stay away from. So to speed up the process to get down to what it is, I ask, what are you looking to stay away from? Because if they say, well, I'm looking for spirulina, I'm looking for this, and I'm looking for 72 organic plant trace minerals, I'm looking for, a whole organic food, and they don't know that it's a full macronutrient balanced meal.
I've said that before, Kate, because I typically start off very passive and then I have to work my way up. And so I've said that before. And typically what people will say is, oh, nothing. And then I'll bring Michael in and then he's like, what are you looking to stay away from? And they're like, eggs, this, that. So sometimes that question, I'll get not the answer I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Because I've done it.
Okay.
But I mean, try it, right? And I think that's the thing and the learning curve is anybody that's found what works has just tried a whole lot of things that don't work.
Well, you think about the different questions that people ask you when you say, oh, what do you think of it? Or what are the things you like about it? Well, what do you think about it?
Mm-hmm.
Or what are the things you like about it?
Yeah, I always ask, what are the things you like best?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Or okay, so this is something that I think everyone gets. People say, do you sell it? Right? Does everybody get that question sometimes? Like, do you sell it? And I'm just like, heck yeah, I help people get started and feel as absolutely amazing as I feel. And the company offers referral rebates. And how amazing is it? Have you heard of this industry before? Like, have you heard of network marketing? Have you heard of whatever you want to call it? And sometimes they'll be like, no, because if you think about where people are coming from, not everybody even knows what network marketing is. And so like, I sure didn't. And so they're just asking a question for clarification. So I love that question so much. Or I'll say, I love helping people and referring them to this amazing company. And the company does give me kickbacks and I get some of my product for free. And it's so much fun. And if I was right in the beginning, that's more of what I would say. Then now I would probably go into a little more transparency. Like, this is our full-time income.
I say to people right away, I says, look, let's just, if they say, well, do you sell it or how much is it going to cost and all that? I says, well, first of all, let's just agree that I'm going to get you the same, you're going to make it so that you're at the same wholesale cost, below wholesale cost that I pay. So you and I pay the same price for the products. And that seems to take people,
yes.
Especially when people are thinking, well, I'm going to make money off of my friends. That kind of thing. I says, well, look, I was just going to set you up with a wholesale account. And I usually tell a story. Like I remember, I'll tell a story about when I first started, I got onto the program and then I trimmed up 15 pounds and 10.5 inches in a short time. And then people started asking me what I was doing. So I just said, well, here's a link. I'll just make sure you get a wholesale account so you pay what I pay. And they go, okay. And that's it, because that's basically what we're doing for people. We're connecting people to the Isagenix Corporation. And we're the in-between people. We're the referral marketing people. We're just saying, hey, check it out. We're right here. That's it. So,
yeah.
That's all we're doing. And we're just connecting people to people. And when someone refers somebody else to it and they're looking at earning extra dollars and different things like that, we just link them up on the numbers and people get their rebates and go to the next levels of whatever they want to do.
Mm-hmm. And Colleen asked, what link do you send them? So I know we love to do our personalized IsaMovie link. So if my Isagenix password is amanda.isagenix.com, I'll type in amanda.isagenix.com /IsaMovie and then go there and I'll find an IsaMovie that will jive with them. So if they're looking for financials, I'll link one of those. I love to do the Start Your Life for 18 to 35-year-olds, or if it's product-based, it's all laid out really nicely. And they've done such a beautiful job because then the packs are right there and they can find the clinicals. So if they're, a moderate self-starter, they're going to be able to find quite a bit of information.
Yeah, I say just to go to the IsaMovie at the end of your website, /IsaMovie, and I says, and just check down below and look at the clinicals. And in that way, they're going to go to how the clinicals, how to do it, all the different things, and even the referral parts in there if they choose to look at that. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty simple. It's pretty relaxed.
Is there any part of conversations where people feel like they struggle with? Like in the beginning, for me, it was like saying anything to strangers, and then it was bringing up Isagenix, then it was getting permission to send information, and then it was getting them on a three-way call because nobody wanted to. So I've definitely been there. I used to start sweating before I even talked to people. So then it made it really difficult. And then I go red. And so I really had to work through, and I know Michael too. I think most people here too. So is there any, at the place you are in your Isagenix journey, is there any specific place where you're like, this is where I'm at and I'm having a hard time taking the conversation past this point? For me, three-way calls was revolutionary when I got past that point. That was it made things very easy for me.
It takes the pressure off, actually. So you have to set it up the right way with the calls.
Yeah, because it didn't matter how good I was anymore. Or how not good I was.
Well, the thing too is with the call, I don't necessarily say this, hey, we're going to do a three-way call. I just say, hey, I'll get a buddy on the line with us and he can explain it, or she can explain it.
Mm-hmm.
and I just kind of do it like that, and it just takes that pressure off and just gets the right answers for people. Yeah,
like
so,
I'll go first, or you guys can go first.
I was going to jump in and say, Amanda, I just love your vulnerability. It is it's so good. And for everybody else on the call, it's also so important. Like here's Amanda telling you, like I struggled with pretty much every little step in this process. And it takes a strong person to take and say that. And the reason I'm raising that is that, so here we have Michael and Amanda pulling this call together, and we're all on the call. And time again, Amanda will be open. She's always open. She's vulnerable. She expresses herself. And we really owe it to each other to do likewise, and to open up and participate in the call by asking questions and by making comments, because it's an awful lot to put all of that on one person's shoulders or two people's shoulders, and they're doing an incredible job. But they're leading by example, by being vulnerable and being open. And I know that we all have struggled at times with all kinds of parts of our Isagenix business and all kinds of the rest of life. So I wanted to acknowledge, Amanda, for being as vulnerable and thank you for that, and pointing out to everybody how important it is. And then I want to continue on for a minute, if that's all right with you.
And just so if you don't know who Tony and Grace are, Tony and Grace, I walked into the gym they used to own a gym, and a fellow martial artist, and it was a few months of me just popping in and saying hello. And Tony and Grace are now close to the millionaire status, not too far away, and been with me for 12 years or so now. So it's been pretty exciting.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. And as we've said on these calls before, thank goodness you were so persistent that you dropped into our gym pretty much every week and did a beautiful job of building rapport for 5.5 months. And we're glad you did it, and I think you're glad you did it too. So the other part that I just wanted to comment here is, we will often get somebody in a conversation and they'll start asking things like, well, what's in it? All the technical questions. And when you start getting those technical questions, take a moment to really learn about the process that you followed that got you to that point. Because nobody buys based on logic. Nobody does. And if people are asking you, well, has it got this in it? Has it got that in it? If it's all about details, if it's all about stats, then just learn and think about that, put it in the back of your mind, and then before you have that next conversation, remember that everybody, and again, I'm going to underline the word everybody buys based on emotion, and they will justify with logic. So if you're ever in a situation where you're getting a lot of questions that are logic-based, you need to rethink, how am I connecting with these people? How am I building rapport? And rapport, yes, for Michael, it was 5.5 months, but he built rapport long before that. But rapport only needs to take a couple of minutes. But what emotional message can I get across to that person that's really going to resonate with them? Because that's what will make them buy. When you can show them, now most people, you're either moving away from pain or you're moving towards pleasure. It's one of the two. Most people in today's society in North America are moving away from pain. So, when you're having those kind of open conversations and you dig into that person, like, if they could change 2 or 3 things in life right now, when it comes to their health, what would those be? You can ask them a question like that, and they will be emotional things. They might say it's my weight. But for example, how many people, if it's an obese person, how many times, because if I haven't been obese, I don't know emotionally how charged that is. But when you need to put on the happy face, when actually you're devastated inside, when you need to pretend it's a joke, when you sit down on the chair and the chair collapses, like those are tough emotional things. And if I'm talking to a person about, oh well, the shake's got 26 grams of protein, it's got carbohydrates, essential fatty acids, blah blah blah, it's all true and it's all science, but it's not telling them how it's going to ease their pain. So if you can explore a little bit, just in the conversation, or if it's somebody you know, if you can explore a little bit and find out what are their pain points and what is it that they want to move towards pleasure, and don't always assume that an overweight person, that their pain point is being overweight. It might not be. It might be that their pain is that they have no energy to play with their kids. We don't know. So if you find yourself getting caught up all the time in the detail, it's because they're avoiding making a decision by getting into logic. So get out of that and get into the emotion, because everybody buys for emotion and they'll justify. You don't even, if you got them, if you're speaking to their emotional needs, they'll make up the logic. You don't even need to give it to them. They'll make it up. Well, I needed this brand new car because, and boom, boom, all kinds of reasons. It's got nothing to do with it. They loved the color and they loved what it meant for them to own that car. And no product is any different. So the last piece, and then I'll be quiet. The last piece that I was going to say is, if there's a consistent objection that comes up for you, so if it's always a price point or it's always something like that, any objections that you're getting, and Michael is an exception here, because Michael has talked to so many thousands of people that, he's heard them all. He's heard them all. But if you're fairly new, and by fairly new, I don't mean how long have you been in Isagenix. I mean, how long have you actually been prospecting people? If you're fairly new at prospecting people and you're getting a consistent one or two objections, it's a mirror. Pay attention to the objection you're getting, because it's pointing out to you where you need to do a little bit of work around your belief. If it's a price objection that always comes up, it's because somewhere back there you have some concerns about the price of these products, or you have some concern about bringing forward that price when you're there. So use your objections, consistent objections, as a mirror. Know that that's somewhere where you can do some belief work on that. Know that people always buy for emotion, and they always will justify for the logic, and they'll make the logic up if you don't give it to them. So there you go.
That is so helpful, Tony. I love that so much, because I'm thinking about the last few unnecessary purchases. I'm like, yeah, emotion, logic, got it. Yeah, I'm really good at justifying things too. So it just makes so much sense too when people are getting started in Isagenix and in our own personal journeys. I remember I had a huge auto ship hurdle where I wanted to quit. I was so stressed out about all of this auto ship stuff. And it was Michael that was like, well, what do you think about auto ship? And I was like, oh, and that's exactly where that was coming from. And as soon as I dealt with that with myself, I literally don't even think I've dealt with that ever again. And that was years ago. To me, that was so night and day. And so I couldn't agree more.
It's funny when you talk about emotion and stuff. I remember being in the Seattle airport, and there's this really tall man. I thought, I'm brave. I'm just going to go talk to him. And I went up and I talked to him, and I'm brand new, and I just went and talked to him, and he just shut me right down, because I started talking about this new program I had and all this kind of stuff. And since then, I just started keeping my ears open. And it was more like, I know that an overweight person that's having some troubles are going to have lack of energy, lack of sleep, and digestive issues, most likely. So if I can have somebody, I'm talking to them with lack of energy or they're tired. If I see someone yawn in the grocery store lineup, I'll say, oh man, you're tired. And they'll say, yeah. I says, oh, how long has that been bugging you? It's just simple, right? It's just asking questions. And then they say, it's been a while. Why? And they ask me why. Now it's permission-based. It's like, oh, why? Well, I might have something for you. What is it? Well, how about I get your email and maybe I can get your phone number and I'll send you a link. Check it out. And that's where our follow-up begins. That's where we, if you don't know what the answer, hey, I'll give you a call in a couple of days and see what you think of the link. And if there's some questions that you don't know, because they're going to ask questions, you could either say, well, I may or may not have a friend of mine on the line that helps me with this because I'm so new. Or if you're on the line with them and you don't know the answer, say, that's okay. I don't know the answer. I'm pretty new, but I know somebody that does. How about we connect up with them in the next day or so? And it's just simple things to make it relaxed for yourself and not to get caught up in because a lot of people have a lot of trouble saying, how do I open up the conversation? How do I talk to someone about Isagenix? And I know this from experience after all these years, the conversation doesn't start with Isagenix. The conversation starts with your talking to them about something in life outside of Isagenix. And it will gently, well, what do you do for a living? Or what do you do? Oh, I teach martial arts. So what do you do? Oh, I work at a refinery. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I also do this other thing with nutrition. Oh, what's that? Oh, well, give me your email and your phone number. I'll send you a link. Check it out. And then it's just figuring out what link, which I just use my website /IsaMovie. Take a look at the clinicals. This is how you take your shake. This is how you take your cleanse drink. It's all right there. And simple as that. So, and I just have my 3 weight loss systems on the front page of my site. I just set it up in my back office that way. So what you're saying, Cole, I saw a lot of chat about colors. I'm actually taking Tony's course on that, and so is Trisha. Yeah, we're going to be taking the course. So we'll talk to you more about that too. If you have questions on Tony's course coming up about that, it's going to be Tony and Grace's course. We'll talk about that. Maybe not on this call, but we'll talk about that when it's getting close to starting. And if you want to learn about that, so that's the one I'm learning about. So
and I wanted
it's going to be exciting.
I wanted to circle back to what you were saying, Tony, about finding the pain point and connecting emotionally. And I don't know if Adrienne is able to address this, but she did such a great job when she first came in at finding out as a personal trainer what were her pain points and being able in a duplicatable conversation every single time to getting them to say, yeah, that's a pain point for me too. So do you want to talk about, Adriana, how you handled the meal plans and getting people to take a look? Because I think the biggest struggle with personal trainers is getting them to take a look.
Oh, we lost you.
Can you guys hear me? No, there. Sorry.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? I just took it off Wi-Fi, so that doesn't happen. But I can't see you guys. And I like to speak with emotion. There we go. Would you just mind repeating that one more time?
So whenever you were in the very beginning and getting personal trainers to take a look, you'd ask some questions to get them to say, okay, do you make meal plans? Do you do this? Do you do that? To get them to take a look.
This was like the 100% loop around. Like I already knew what the answer was going to be. So if I was coming up to a personal trainer or somebody in the fitness space, it's like, oh, so do you write meal plans for your clients? And the answer will be either yes or no. So yes, I did, or no, I don't write meal plans for my clients. Okay, well, you and I both know that nutrition is the 80% of your client success. What if I had a way that you're able to complete their full circle to actually give them the results that they're looking for? And as a trainer, you're only as good as your client's results. So obviously they're going to be like, yeah, of course, I would love to look into that. Like, how can I do this? Right. And then if their answer is, yes, I do write meal plans for my clients, I'm like, awesome. So when you write down, like protein powder or multivitamins or whatever, to the companies, like, do you get rebates for your referrals? And they're like, no. Because no, like, oh my gosh, that is so silly. Like you're definitely missing out on there. What if I had a way for you to be able to refer your clients to something that actually works for their body and you get paid for it too? Then what trainer is going to say no to that? So I either knew that a yes or no would bring me full circle to I have the answer for you to amplify and explode your business.
I love that because you found their pain point. They want you. They're only as good as their client success. They're going to say yes to take a look. The biggest hurdle with personal trainers is them not being willing to even look. And so it was just this beautiful loop around that was duplicatable and easy. And even I could do it. And I would just say, hey, my girlfriend, this is what she does. And then, utilize your success as an example. And we also know that time, you can only train a certain set amount of clients. And then you're kind of at a cap. And then you're also exhausted. And so you're able to loop that around as you go full circle. When you hit, sometimes people say, well, I don't really want rebates or anything like that. Then you can go right around. Oh, how long do you expect to be personal training for? Like, how is that going for you? What is your vision for your career? And being able to have that conversation.
Well, I just know from personal experience, right? Like I can put a client through a kick butt workout for an hour. I can make you sweat from places that you didn't even know you could sweat from. But it's the rest of that 23 hours of a day that I leave you for the rest to make your own decisions. That's where the self-sabotage hits. And that's almost where trainers that are not offering this to their clients are almost cheating them and are almost confirming that they're going to fail and have to continue to pay for them and don't actually care about their success. That's my view on it. So I feel like if ever you see a trainer in a gym and they're not doing that, that they're almost ripping their clients off, and that is a bad karma, and that you should be going up to them and being like, hey, do you know that I have a better way for you to, or another way for you to get your clients have even better results, which in long term creates longer client retention anyways. You're just doing it the right way with a positive mindset and with a good karma.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. That is so helpful. Yeah.
And just before I go back to busting it out, and I'm totally here and I'm listening and everything. So if ever you want to call me in again, that's fine. But I just wanted to say that I had some people message me and ask me how am I turning my people into consultants and managers so quick. And I'll have to say that not one person that my team has enrolled has not had a conversation alone. Every single conversation that we have had, I have been on the phone, and it has been 2 ways. And if not, 3-way, and if not 4-way, I still call in Amanda to this day. We literally did a call today, or Michael. You just have to choose your person to who fits the spectrum best. I go to Amanda for all my business questions from my clients, or anybody who's asking about the business. I always bring in Amanda, and anybody who has medical stuff, I always go to Michael. So I know my people and I pick them right.
I love it.
Awesome.
3-way calls. I know
Three-way
it sounds so simple. It's like, I want the secret sauce though. It's like, that is the
Three-way
secret
calls.
sauce. It's
No.
like,
Secret sauce is 3-way calls. And what I learned from Executive Summit is the number one way to executive is through 3-way calls.
Nicole,
Agreed.
you and I were on the line with Woody today. Woody, do you mind? Are you able to take yourself off of mute? What did you find that was the simplicity of that today? Because you're brand new in Nashville, and Woody was Nicole met Woody in Nashville as an Uber driver for her, and now here we are. We're all together and getting going. So, what is one of the things with that helped you a little bit? There we go.
Hey, what's going on, Michael? I would prefer just to listen on this on this chat, but I'll definitely speak in next time. I'd just like to listen and learn some more, if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
you bet, buddy. Okay, yeah, no worries at all. Okay, cool. Yeah. So 2 of the things that happened was we were able to chat today and just get those simple questions answered, and just making sure that we're getting direct, because as we're growing this with each other, it's just finding the rapport and getting things moving in the right directions and getting things going, right? So I think that's what all the calls do. And if you do 3-way calls, it doesn't always have to be about business or product. It could be just to check in with somebody. And that's how you start building consultants. Oh, that's Jack's popping balloons. So that's, can you do that after, buddy? Because it's right in the middle of the, yeah, thanks.
thank you.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with that, is that those 3-way calls really do help with all sorts of different things. Uh-oh. Yeah, good. Oh, yes. Okay, so so basically as we go along with this, so does anybody else have any other things that they find with objections or anything like that? Anybody else?
I definitely find that if I don't really have any consistent objections, but I definitely find that I get a lot more objections if I take time out. And the longer it's been since I've done a 3-way call, the harder it is to do, and the more objections I get.
Right.
You just got to stay in practice. And the more you practice, the better you get. And the better you get, the less objections you get.
Yeah, so everybody has something that when they're talking with their friends and they get people signed on and all that kind of stuff, sometimes you don't need to have the 3-way calls. Someone says, hey, I want to get going now, then take their order and help them get started. But just always say, I can't wait, something like, I can't wait for you to meet some of the people I do this with. Be great to connect you up sometime. And that's just the beginning of it, right? Building the team, being around that part. So that's kind of how I do it. I just kind of put it as an open end. Hey, I can't wait to meet you. It'd be great to, meet some of the people I'm doing this with. And that's pretty much it. And they say, yeah, sure, that'd be great. I says, no problem. So that's on the meeting people and getting things going. And did anybody have any questions on, like, with consultant building, like to create one on the left and one on the right? Everybody's feels pretty good. Kind of going.
Go ahead. Sorry, Trish.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I think sometimes what I'm finding is having the excitement for your new associates to want to share. It's their hesitations is some of what I can experience is what I'm experiencing. Sorry, it's the new braces today, and it's, you know, they're waiting for their results and making it about them, as opposed to let's help your friends feel as good as you are. And sometimes I'll find that block, I'll get that block. So that's a little bit of a journey that I'm with and I can struggle with. And it's like, come on, you guys, let's share. Let's just talk with people. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a great thing, because, you know, we have to understand that 85% of the people that do this are product users, and that's all they really want to do is they want to use the product, and they might refer to family and friends a little bit here and there. And that's all they really want to do with this. And we have to accept that's what they want to do. What I look for when I'm building this, what I look for is that entrepreneurial, enthusiastic person.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to push rope if that's you know, I'm not going to push the rope. I mean, it's too tough. I mean, for us to want it more than someone else, it's not supposed to be that way. So when you have a brand new person in that indicates that, say, you know what, this is pretty cool, I want to go with this. That's a lot easier to work with someone that says, that's pretty cool, I want to do something with this. Because now we're going to just go at their pace and making sure that we're going to where they want to go. I signed on a chiropractor in Vernon the other day, and now I just met with him when I was up in Kelowna, and it took him a month or so. He lost about 15 pounds, feels really good. And he says, you know what, we got rules, but I said to him, I says, I know you got rules. I says, do you have any chiropractor friends in the States that are allowed to do this kind of thing? And he goes, oh yeah, I got lots. He says, well, then that's where we start. Family and friends and your friends in the States. And now we can build a residual. So little things like that are seeming to work. So it's just understanding, if you don't know where to go with somebody, you reach out and you ask.
I think too, and you're probably doing this, Shelly, but just as like a reminder, I love when people say, you know, I really just want to focus on me right now. And I love to add in, oh my goodness, if you have any friends that want to do this with you though, because it is great accountability, your girlfriends are going to be saying, when are we cleansing versus let's go for pizza. And it is helpful. And so I just let people have that in the back of their mind. So when their girlfriend calls them to go for pizza, they're like, I should really get you started in the program that I'm doing, because this is going to be easier for me. Like when they're having that hard moment with their support system around them, they're going to circle back to that. And so even if it doesn't immediately, you know, have them sharing with their friends, it's there in the back of their mind, because I know it is so much easier when everyone's cleansing on a Wednesday and we're all together versus when I'm the only one. Because typically we're all cleansing on Wednesdays when we get together and do our Wellness Wednesday. And last time it was like a Friday and I was cleansing and nobody else was. And it was much more difficult than on my Wednesdays. And so I know that from personal experience when Adriana is cooking up beautiful, amazing dishes for everyone. And so using that as an example and letting people know it is so much more fun with your friends. So they might not be ready right in that moment, but they will keep going back to that. And then Michael likes to make bets with people. So, okay, cool. But when you lose your first 10 pounds or 5 pounds, then you promise you'll give me a referral. You'll tell somebody. And so then they'll say yes because they don't believe it. And then, you know, typically that happens.
And I follow
quite
up.
quickly.
I just say, hey, you know, remember we've got that 10 pounds. They don't know it's going to be a week or two, but it happens, right? And then all of a sudden, if they have 25 to lose and 10 comes off fairly quickly, it's like, hey, I says, remember you said you're going to help me find some people, because I'm looking for people. And that's when I turn it back, and they'll usually try and help me find some people before they try and help themselves find people, because they might not be into the networking side of it. They might not be into the referral rebates. They might not care. But I'm going to find out real quick whether they like the referral rebates. And my experience is that when I tell them that there is referral rebates, lots of really, really cool things start happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Adriana, unmute yourself.
Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? I don't really necessarily give an option. So after I get the order and then I put it in, because you want to make sure that you have it in already, then I call them up and I'm like, okay, this is so awesome. I have your order in. We're good to go. So who of your friends in your family is like really struggling to lose some weight, or, you know, they're really tired all the time and they're like, oh my, this, that, that. awesome. You know what? The company actually gives back rebates for your referrals. It'll help kind of pay for this pack. And, you know, I can just get on the phone with them and do exactly what I did with you and get them started. And you're 72% more successful when you do things with a buddy. So why don't we get that going? First of all, they're not going to say no to wanting to help somebody else. And they're not going to say no to getting money. So I don't ask a question like, who do you or would you like? I'm like, which one of your friends and family is really struggling to lose weight or could really use some more energy? Like whoever you're speaking to, you know what language to use with them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
With me, it's never a question. It's always like a this.
That's definitely something that I'm learning from you, Adriana, is it's like just very direct, and it is amazing the responses that come from that. From the such direct questions and okay, so I know that you said you weren't really interested in the rebates, but I need to tell you these because you're going to wish that you had, and then I'm not going to take responsibility for not being the one that didn't show them to you. So this is what's going on. I'm going to show you this to you. And, you know, 9 times out of 10, people are like, whoa, I didn't realize it was that good, or there's such a great response. So not being afraid to take charge of the conversation and to say, I know you said this, but I couldn't really live with myself if I knew that there was these rebates on the table and I didn't tell you about them. And so
that does happen to me too when I do help somebody help their friend and they sign up with a value pack and there's like this literally just happened today US, so it's $100, and I'm talking to the girl, I'm like, listen, there's $100 here for you, and I know that you're so sweet, I know that you said that you wanted me to get the referral, but like that's not really fair, and I really want you to prosper on this too, so like let's set you up, you have $100 here, you get somebody else by next Sunday, and that doubles for you, and 200. And then they start to get really excited because Amanda, what really resonated with me is when you said that anybody who has made even $1 with Isagenix is 95% more like to stay with it forever. And that really resonated with me because sometimes I'm like, oh, it's a 30-day and it's only $30, but regardless, that's still $30 richer than they were before.
Yeah, and if they make $1 in their first month, so that is so important to have them getting paid in that first month. And it's amazing to see the progression of that and those numbers really ring true in our own businesses. So having that urgency to get them paid, even if it is one 30-day system, then because as we all know, and you can even, you know, kind of foreshadow for people, like for me, my beliefs skyrocketed when my best friend had such amazing results. That for me it wasn't my own results. I had very life-changing results too in my eyes, but it was when somebody else had that result, then I was like, okay, I'm here for life. And so we know that to be true with most of us on this line. And so really saying to people, you're going to love these products so much, and I know that you're going to love them, but when you help one of your good girlfriends who's been struggling, like, oh man, like that feeling is insane. And people will really resonate with them. And it's just another something to say. And, you know, there's a lot of conversation about you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. But like in my experience, I said lots of wrong things that have resulted in an enrollment. Like, in fact, my enrolling three-way call, not three-way call with Kelsey was like an absolute train wreck, in my opinion. Like, I remember getting off the line being like, I don't know how that just resulted in a value pack, but like, I feel like I need like some serious podcasts. And that just ring true to me, that when you have somebody that's just so ready, like don't stress out on what to say. We're just having human conversations with other humans and recommending something. Like we recommend everything. I can't even count how many times I've recommended something or not recommended something, you know? And so I think that it's important to remember that. And remember, this is such a natural process. It's a natural process to talk to somebody about something that we love. It's a natural process for them to refer something that they love. So it's only weird if we make it weird. And I love the directness of what Michael and Adrian and a lot of other successful leaders on the line do. Is just very direct, and that's what I'm learning, because I will like take the conversation an extra hour just by going around and around and around. And so those sometimes just hitting that direct question, like, I know you're gonna feel amazing. Who do you know that is gonna for sure do this with you? Let's talk to them right now.
And it's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no loss really with that at all.
Or even like, I loved what Lindsay Wynia said. If you have not listened to that January 2nd corporate call, holy man, I was driving and I was like, dang, this girl's on fire. I can't wait to hear it. I'm like, hey, but she was talking about like every single person in your organization that is a consultant right now, they need to be getting a personal phone call from you, and they need to say, do you want to make $700 really fast? Do you want to make $10,000 really fast? Because there's some serious money on the table, and we've got like 29 days to help people make $700 for going Crystal Manager. And like, that's insane. They're already a consultant. They don't even have to introduce anybody new themselves. They just need to find their 2 people, help them to find 2 people. I mean, we can help some people. I mean, $700, like this is what Lindsay said, and I totally agree, which is why I'm going to re-say it. But she said $700 might not be a lot to you, but like $700 is a lot to most people. So let's get out of our own way. And so has everybody on this line called every single consultant in their organization, within reason, but at least all of your consultants and for PET, have you called them and let them know this money that's on the table for them, and take control of that? Don't assume that they know. Don't assume that they think it's there for them. Most people see promotions and say that's not for me, when we could help somebody make $10,000 with life-changing money. And so I love that. And I mean, if you haven't listened to it, she ended it with "Don't screw this one up." And I was just like, oh, I love you. I love you. It was so true, though, because it is time sensitive. There is a ton of money on the table for people, and it's not that hard. It's actually really, really easy, because we're approaching a time period where people are either just starting the New Year's resolutions because they're procrastinators, or they've already started them and then fallen off of them, or they've already started them and then maybe restarted them and then restarted them. And people are identifying that they need a solution here. And this is the perfect time to help not only more people get started in your organization personally, but to help your organization make a lot of money that they can do amazing things with. So,
well, you think about a new person starting off and they want to do it with their spouse. Well, there's one person out of the 2 right away. As simple as that. One person gets a value pack, maybe the other person gets a smaller pack, and they find a good family friend, relative, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, somebody that trusts them, and just say, hey, look, give this a try. I'm doing this too. And we all got 30-day money back, and create a couple consultants real quick.
Yeah.
And make, one thing that I find, if you're looking for people, and you're going like, well, who am I going to talk to? Every time, just write down their name on a piece of paper. Have a little list of, don't call them, just write it down. And I've actually had it where I end up talking to them and I didn't even call them. Just because it's in the air.
That's what Trish and I were doing last night, because apparently it's frowned upon to call people at midnight. And we're like, what else can we do? Well, let's make lists.
Yeah, and just write down their name, and then we can discuss, why you wrote their name down. Like maybe you're watching the videos in the ISA movie, your ISA movie, and you're watching the videos on weight loss, performance, energy. Maybe you're looking at wealth creation, and write down people's names as you're watching the movies, and how many people will come to your mind in every category. The same person will show up in 3 or 4 of them. We're definitely going to be talking to them.